and your client could be halfway across the country. So I totally think 2021 is a really good time to start a bookkeeping online business.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Bookkeeping Legends. My name is Raymond.
And I'm Calvin.
And today we got a really exciting topic for you guys. And that topic is why now is the best time to start a virtual bookkeeping business. Our channel is all about bookkeeping, accounting, and starting a virtual bookkeeping business. And make sure you stay to the very end because Calvin is going to reveal some secrets about why he personally believes that 2021 is the best time to start a virtual bookkeeping business. So without further ado, let's get started. So Calvin, obviously, no surprise with everything that has happened in the past year, the whole COVID situation, a lot of traditional brick and mortar businesses have kind of been disrupted, and there's kind of been a new shift to this new digital way of doing business online. So first of all, I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts about this shift, how bookkeeping was like prior to the whole COVID situation and how you feel the bookkeeping world will look like moving forward.
Yeah, COVID definitely has made a big impact in the economy and actually across almost all industries. And for myself, working as an accountant and as a bookkeeper, I know it has changed quite a bit because we used to be sitting in an office chair, sitting in a cubicle at the office, to being able to work at home. And then so it has really changed quite a bit in terms of how employees and how bookkeepers work. Before COVID, it was already possible to work remotely as long as you have a computer that can connect to the internet, that can connect to a server, and then you can service your clients that way, or you can work for your accounting firm that way. So it was already possible before COVID. But since COVID has happened, it has just basically give you a good big push everybody into that direction of being able to work remotely. It has changed quite a bit. So in terms of the tools, they were already there, but they were not that widespread. So the software was mostly designed to work on perhaps one computer. They probably weren't designed to work as much in the cloud. Whereas nowadays, if you just have it on your computer, it really limits what you can actually do, because that means you probably have to just have clients in your local vicinity where you can actually get the physical books from them. And it was much more difficult to work that way. But with the COVID situation, it has really pushed the whole bookkeeping accounting industry forward in that people are now much more comfortable working in the cloud. Even people who did never consider working remotely probably already have some experience working remotely because the government mandated it. And so now that companies have put in already all that security, all that invested in that infrastructure so people can work remotely, it creates this unique opportunity for bookkeepers because people are now much more comfortable working with people remotely. So you don't have to just work with clients that are just in your own facility, your own city, but now you can actually work with clients across states or across provinces, or maybe if you're very adventurous, even across borders to other countries. Because the great thing about bookkeeping is that there's no particular standard, which is different from creating financial statements, because financial statements, you have to follow, US generally accepted accounting principles or Canadian generally accepted accounting principles. So you have to know those particular rules. But for bookkeeping, there's no really a set standard. As long as you know how to put your debits and your credits in, most countries around the world, you follow more or less the same standard. And with only several big software companies like QuickBooks Online or Xero, they have really just made things a lot easier for bookkeepers, because now the software is all in the cloud. And I know because when I was working in the accounting firms, we used QuickBooks Desktop, or we used Simply Accounting. And the issue was, if you use Simply Accounting, say 2015, and your client upgrades to 2016, your 2015 version of the software, you can no longer open their 2016 files unless you upgrade as well. So causes a lot of problems with the software because people are on different versions of the software. This is what happens when you have a accounting software that is only on one particular computer, and you have to manually upgrade the version year by year because Simply Accounting, which is also known as Sage 50 now, or QuickBooks, used to have different versions every year, and you have to purchase it, but not everybody does. But with the whole COVID pandemic thing pushing the whole accounting and bookkeeping industry forward, now QuickBooks Online has become very popular. And the great thing about it is that you don't have to manually upgrade it every year. You just pay a month-to-month subscription. You don't have to shell out like $300 or $400 all at the same time, whereas you only have to pay, $10, $20, $30 a month. And then, so the great thing is that monthly subscription just comes with a the upgrades are basically already there because you're always using the most current version of the software. And then so if you're worried about clients having different versions of QuickBooks than you, that is no longer an issue. And so I think as well, as I mentioned before, people are much more comfortable working from home. And then now people are also much more easier than 10 years ago start online businesses. And we just see online businesses just booming a lot because the internet is such a robust tool for people that you don't have the costs have basically come down quite a bit. You no longer have to have brick and mortar stores. You don't have to pay rent, which is usually the most expensive expense for most entrepreneurs. Now that you're able to work from home using software and your startup costs are so much lower, it just creates an awesome opportunity for bookkeepers and accountants going forward. And 2020 has been a big year pushing forward. And 2021 is going to be even better because now businesses and individuals are more accustomed to this type of environment.
That's amazing, Calvin. And you touched upon so many great points. The first one is just the general acceptance of this kind of working remote, and cloud technology and the internet has really, really lowered the cost of entry into this particular market. So basically, you could be a virtual bookkeeper working from a small town of 2,000 people, and you could basically be servicing the entire United States or Canada. There's really no limit to how far your reach can go. Would you agree with that, Calvin? Like you could actually be live in a small town and service all these different clients.
Absolutely. Because the skills of bookkeeping is so versatile, it crosses basically any state or any province, even borders of countries. You could be doing books for people, you could be in India, for example, and you could be servicing people in the United States. And I know this because I've seen this as a fact. People here in North America, companies, they hire people from other towns or other countries because maybe of cost reasons or for other reasons, they just like working with other people. Is that it's so possible now to outsource for companies. They can outsource a part of their business, like accounts payable, which typically takes a lot of time to pay all the expenses, cut all the checks, and make sure that your taxes are paid on time. So I've actually seen entrepreneurs go creative and go hire a bookkeeper or accountant from like hundreds of kilometers or miles away. I've seen it. It's quite amazing what technology can do nowadays.
That's amazing. And, definitely that reach is there. You're able to service clients globally around the world as long as you have that technical knowledge. And obviously the cost to entry, they're not very, very high. I mean, the way I see it, it's really, you need the cost of a computer, you need the cost of an internet connection, you need the fundamental bookkeeping and accounting knowledge, right? That's also very important. But beyond that, this is a business where you can work from home, right? There's not a whole lot of other, major costs associated with it. Like, please correct me if I'm wrong, Calvin, but what are the kind of the costs associated with starting a virtual bookkeeping business, or did I kind of hit on, most of the key factors?
Right. So let's talk about the traditional way first, like 30 years ago, like our bosses, like when they started their bookkeeping or accounting firms, They had to first of all sign a lease. They have to go around and look for an office where they can meet clients, and then they will have to invest in all of their computers, their back then ledger paper, when before there was Excel and computers. So basically, it was this big book, and then they have to use rulers to line up the assets and the liabilities and stuff like that. So there were actually a lot of costs in the past in terms of mostly like having a physical building. Zoom was not around back then. um, but nowadays, it's so much easier because of all the tools that are now readily available. Our software is now all online. So, like Raymond said, all you basically need is a computer, internet access, and then maybe like a virtual meeting platform like Zoom. And Zoom is free for 40 minutes. So for most people, it's to start up is actually cost very little, maybe just a little bit for the software, and you probably already have a computer. And the software is actually quite forgiving as well in terms of you don't need the newest 2020 MacBooks with their M1 chip that just came out this month. So it can run on older computers, a few years old. Not a big issue. The accounting software is not very intensive on your system, so it can run on most budget computers. Works just fine, no problem at all.
That's amazing. So definitely, the reach is there, the costs are there. So those are two great reasons to start a virtual bookkeeping business. But the third one, and we promised this in the beginning of the video, well, we'll kind of reveal a secret on why we think now is the best time to start a virtual bookkeeping business. So I'll kind of segue a little bit into this. So there was a saying, Calvin, that in the old days of the gold rush, okay, everyone was coming to San Francisco area to basically dig for gold. But because everyone was going to do that, searching for gold, the people that actually got rich were not actually the gold miners. It was actually the people that were selling the shovels to all the people that wanted to dig and go for gold. And in my personal opinion, it's the exact same way today, because everyone now, due to the whole pandemic, COVID, and just the ease of working online, everyone is trying to start their own online business, whether it's doing coaching or doing drop shipping or doing Amazon FBA or eBay or all these different types of online business models like lead gen or social media marketing. Well, what's the one thing that all these companies will eventually need is that they're going to need someone to potentially take a look at their profits, take a look at their sales, analyze if they're doing things the right way or the incorrect way. So this is why I personally feel it's such a great time to start now. And Calvin, I'll segue into you so you can kind of enhance on this or kind of share your own thoughts on this whole process.
I absolutely agree with you. And from my experience working with hundreds, if not thousands, of entrepreneurs, most of them have no idea what they're doing for their bookkeeping. It's usually a big mess. They're great entrepreneurs. They have great ideas. But when it comes to dotting their I's and crossing their T's, they're just terrible at it, most of them, which is fine. They do what they do best, which is finding new business, finding customers, and then selling products or services to them. That's great. But most of these people, they need somebody who has that technical knowledge, who is much more detail oriented than them because they're big picture thinkers. They need somebody who has that attention to detail and that they're able to do it consistently on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I think currently with the pandemic, a lot of people cannot, go to school physically. They're saving a lot of time through the commute. So they have to think about, hey, what can I do with my time? I wonder. So a lot of them are actually considering starting up internet-based businesses. And because it's so easy, like Raymond said, companies like Amazon, and they make it really easy to start a online business. but then these people have no idea also how to do bookkeeping. And I think we've made it clear that every single company needs a bookkeeper now by now. So the opportunity is really just taking off. We saw in 2020, as soon as the pandemic started, people have been starting online businesses left, right, and center. Maybe they got laid off from their jobs and they're like, okay, now I can start a business. Great, here's an opportunity. And it's just really taking off now. So 2021, especially now that, as we mentioned before, all the infrastructure is there. People are now comfortable working remotely. They're more comfortable working with people, through Zoom instead of having a face-to-face meeting. The opportunity is just better than ever because the world is ready for online businesses, and you can service clients from the comfort of your own home, and your client could be halfway across the country. So I totally think 2021 is a really good time to start a bookkeeping online business.
That's amazing, Calvin. And we're going to end off shortly, but I just wanted to, ask you one final question for all our viewers here today. You obviously taught accounting at both the undergraduate and graduate level at Canada's top MBA school in a physical school setting. Do you believe that it is possible today to learn bookkeeping 100% virtually online and to build up a virtual bookkeeping business 100% online?
Absolutely. So besides bookkeeping and accounting, one of my other hobbies is learning languages. So I decided to pick up a certain language recently, and I took it at a local educational institution. And we first started the first few classes just in a brick and mortar at the school, and then the COVID came around, and then the second half of our class turned into an online class. So we started using Zoom, and then at first the teacher was a little confused on how to use Zoom. So the way she taught before was that she would give a bit of a lecture, and then we would have practice exercises with one-on-one with my classmates. And then I really missed that when the Zoom session started, because I think she was still trying to figure out, and I don't blame her, because she wasn't used to the software. Neither was any of us, how to use Zoom properly. But eventually, she figured it out. She figured out how to use, for example, breakout rooms in Zoom. So not only is just one person talking to a group of 8 people. Now she can talk 1 to 8, or we can have one-on-one conversations with our classmates in breakout rooms. So for those of you that are not familiar with what breakout rooms are in Zoom, is that it's kind of like what Raymond and I are doing right now. There's just 2 of us talking. And then she can always put us back into the big lecture hall, which there'll be like 8 people on the screen. So you can have 8 people talk, but when you have one-on-one, you have more talking time, which is very important to practice. And it's the same thing with bookkeeping, learning bookkeeping as well. Now that we have such awesome tools such as Zoom, you're now able to, for example, I could have several students in the class on Zoom, and then I can, for example, explain a certain concept to say 4 people or 6 people, and then I can have the students break out into groups of 2 or 3, and maybe you can work on a problem and try to solve it. Because I generally do think that it's best for students to try things and not just listen all the time. Because if you just listen all the time, you might think you understand, but it's only until you actually start picking up that pencil or that pen and you actually start writing it down, you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Then you can have your classmates either help you, or you can go back to the instructor and ask, oh, I thought I understood, but I have really no idea how to do amortization of capital assets. I'm completely lost with all these numbers here. So I was not a believer of online learning before. I've done some online education through my university, and it was not a good experience back then because we did not have awesome tools like Zoom. It was much more dry at that time. It's just emailing back and forth. So online education have come a long way now. And I'm a true believer that online learning is here to stay, and it's going to continue in popularity because now people are used to it. The infrastructure is there. Companies have worked out all the bugs, and basically online education can do almost everything that a brick and mortar classroom could do. It's such an awesome thing. Think about it. Previously, I had to like drive like half an hour to my classroom. So I had to get dressed. I had to pack my bags. I had to start my car. I had to use expenses such as my car's depreciating. I had to pay for gas. I have to pay for parking, and I have to spend like 30 minutes driving there, 30 minutes driving back, and then I have to unpack my bags and stuff. And now I really like online learning because the instructor could give you a lecture, you can have interaction with your classmates one-on-one, and you don't have to pack your bags, you don't have to drive your car, you don't have to pay for parking. So online education, I think, really is the way to go. And another great thing about online learning is that videos can be rewatched over and over and over and over again. And I know this because I've had feedback from students. They're saying, "Okay, I don't understand something. What do I do?" Well, I can say, here's the video. Watch it a few times, and then they'll be like, "Oh, okay, I think I get it now." And the other great thing about online learning is that it's much more flexible. When we were in a brick and mortar kind of physical classroom setting, you were restricted by when the classrooms were available. They're very expensive to rent, right? The school have to pay for it and stuff. But now with the online learning environment, you're able to, as long as you have internet connection, you can use the free software called Zoom to attend your class, and then you can watch the video afterwards as many times as you want. I think it's just a great way for students to learn. The videos are on demand, so you can watch at any time you want. If you only have 5 minutes here and there, you can use that to learn. So I see it's going to be a great time.
That's awesome, Calvin. Thank you so much for that. It seems like, virtual bookkeeping 2021, it's a very viable business. It's possible to do it 100% completely online, and there's never been a better time to get started. If you are interested in Calvin's course, the link is in the description below. And until then, we both really look forward to seeing you guys next time on another episode of Bookkeeping Legends. Until then, we will see you guys next time.
See you next time. Bye for now.